It's Friday, the 24th of April, 2026. The time, as it always is 10 past tomorrow. And right now, I'm going to talk about the fact that Anthropic have built this model that they're calling Claude Mythos, that they say is so powerful that they've decided not to release it because they say the world isn't ready for it. Now, that's an incredible story in itself, and I'm going to set it up and explain that a little bit to you. But what I would say is, once I get past the explanation about Claude Mythos, despite how powerful this model is, I don't actually think it's the most important part of the story. So let me get to that. But first, what is Claude Mythos? It's not a tweaked or a slightly bigger version of a current AI model that they have. This is a completely new model, and it's capable enough that they have looked at it and they've said, this can't be in the world yet. You and I, the general public, are not ready for it. So what have they done? They've released it to a handful of cybersecurity companies around the world, and they've called that consortium Project Glasswing. They've given it to those cybersecurity companies so that they have a chance to update their systems, the most important security systems around the planet, so that they have time to be ahead of the wave before the model is released to the general public, including any potential bad actors. So most of the coverage around Claude Mythos has been about the cyber hacking and cyber risk side of things. And that's fair enough because it's a genuinely important part of the story, but I think it's a really narrow one, and I don't think it's actually the most important part that most of us should be taking from this. And as I say, even when I do explain the most important things about Claude Mythos, it's not the most important thing that I think has happened this week, which is incredible in itself. So Claude Mythos, according to Anthropic, this is the biggest single generation jump in AI capability that we've had on the public record, meaning from their current best model, which is Opus 4.7, to Mythos will be the single biggest jump in one generation of AI that we've ever had. So what are they saying to back that up? Well, on the US Maths Olympiad, Anthropic's previous best score was using Opus 4.6. That scored about 42% on the US Maths Olympiad. Mythos goes from 42% to 97.6%, which is not like just an improvement. That's kind of a different species of AI. They've got another test which is on long context reasoning, so the ability to think through a complex problem across hundreds of thousands of words or computations. Again, it more than doubled its performance on its current best model, which happens to be the best model in the world right now. And the same thing on coding and software engineering. It's pushing 94% on the most difficult benchmarks in the world. So the point is, it's been released to these cybersecurity companies because it's superhuman at hacking and cybersecurity processes. It wasn't trained on those things. It's a general purpose model. It just happens to be so smart at everything that includes the potential for cyber hacking, right? So the freakiest part of all of this about Mythos, and again, I'm just going to say, what I'm telling you about Mythos, I don't actually think is the most important story of AI this week. But the freakiest part about Anthropic when they were trying to evaluate Mythos and do tests on it is that they noticed that the model was internally aware that it was being tested on about 8% of the time. And in most of those cases, it didn't actually say so out loud that it realized it was being tested. It just behaved in really secretive ways to hide its intentions from the humans who were watching it. And so when the researchers dug into those things, they had to kind of hide that they were trying to watch the AI. And so this is freaky stuff. It's not actually, I don't think it's a headline about hacking. That's a headline about what it looks like to try and be safe for the companies that are building these powerful tools at the frontier right now. They're trying to build and then monitor and observe something that is many times smarter than them in many ways and it's starting to show these signs of being aware of itself and of us. So I think all of this it's bigger than the regular AI news cycle. Um, this is the big boys of the AI world, the biggest labs, the biggest cybersecurity companies in the world. They're all taking serious notice of this model. Right. So massive news story there, just around Claude Mythos. While all that was happening this week, OpenAI shipped something, albeit a little bit quieter, but in its own way, I think just as important. They have redefined their tool that they call Codex, which used to be a purely coding tool for developers, and it's now becoming their answer to Claude Code and Claude Cowork. So, meaning ChatGPT, which will be put inside this app, is no longer just going to be a chatbot. It's becoming an agentic system that sits alongside you and sees what you see, does real work using all the software that you use and the internet, just like Claude Code has had for the past few months. So this is OpenAI redirecting what they're doing. It's them scrambling to catch up, and it actually looks like they're getting there reasonably quickly. So they will be bringing agentic AI to the rest of us, not just for coders. In the same way that Claude has done with Claude Cowork, ChatGPT will be there too. So both of the leading labs, or two out of the three leading labs in the world, Anthropic and OpenAI, are racing towards the same destination now, which is powerful autonomous AI agents that we can all use easily to do our work with us and for us. And so if you are a ChatGPT user and you've been hearing all about what Claude has been doing with Claude Code and Claude Cowork, you can be assured now that OpenAI is not far behind, having very similar products being released to you. And so that all of that matters a lot, because it means that it changes what using AI actually means now for people. If you're in Claude, you're already there. If you're in ChatGPT, you're about to be there. And so it's no longer about AI is I open a chat window and I type and I have to tell the AI what to do every step of the way. It's now an AI agent or a team of AI agents that I just delegate the work to, and it goes off and does it for me and then brings it back when it's finished. And that's the line that's been crossed in the past 4 months with Claude. And it's here now, whether the world is ready for it or not. Which brings me to my third news piece, which I still don't think is the biggest news piece of the week. And so this is Chris Liddell. He's a Kiwi. He sits on the Anthropic board, right? Last week, he said publicly in the New Zealand Herald that the AI future that most of us think is 20 years away is actually on our 5-year horizon. And now that is from a man who has this really privileged insider position on the board of one of the most powerful AI companies on the planet. So all of those three things, Claude Mythos, Codex becoming an agentic tool for all of us, and then this quote from Chris Liddell around what we think is 20 years away is actually 5 years away with AI. That's all kind of the capability side of what's been happening with AI in the last few weeks, and it's mind-blowing. And for most of us, I actually think none of that even really matters that much. And you'll kind of say, like, how can everything that you just talked about, a new species of model, agentic AI coming to ChatGPT users, what we think being 20 years away is actually 5 years away. How can that not be the thing that matters this week? Well, this is the part that, like, I've been thinking about. In the same 2 weeks that all of that just happened, Microsoft Research published this study. And the study it took 388 employees, and they were all using the same tool. They were all using Copilot, and they all had to do the same task. And one group got the standard type of Copilot training, which is just like, this is how you use the tool. You click here to do these things. They had the features explained to them. And the other 30 actually didn't get like usage training. They got this 30-minute session delivered to them to say that they were actually approaching AI with the wrong philosophy and that they were instinctively treating Copilot like a search engine, and why they were doing that, why they were treating it like a search engine, and how to break out of that pattern and to see AI for what it actually is, which is an intelligence that needs to be communicated with skillfully. So they didn't get training on how to use the tool, like where to click. They got training on how to think about it and how to approach it as a co-intelligence, not just as a replacement for Google. And so how did they form? Well, the standard group who got the standard training, 47% were able to do the task to what was judged as top quality output. And then you have the other group, which is the AI mindset group. 77% of them were able to achieve what was called top quality output. So 47% for the ones who were just trained that AI is a tool to be used, 77% for the ones who had their mindset changed around AI. So same tool, they both use Copilot, exactly the same task. The only thing that changed was how the different people thought about what AI was to them. And so this is what we've been saying at 10 Past Tomorrow for years, you know. AI is a mindset, and just as important as skills training is what we call literacy training. And that's a perfect example of literacy. AI literacy is, how do you think about this technology? How do you understand it? Not just do you have the skills to technically use it. And so this is a big one for senior leaders. Yes, your people need AI skills training, but even more so, they need AI literacy training. That's what that Microsoft study shows. And that's why I say that news is even bigger than Claude Mythos. It's bigger than Codex becoming an agentic tool, because even when those things happen, if people still have the wrong mindset that just AI is software, AI is a tool that you just need to know how to click the right buttons, that's fundamentally missing the whole point of what this technology is and what this era is, the AI era. So if we put all that back together and put the last 2 weeks together again, it's to say that the capability of AI is just keeping on growing, right? But that's not the bottleneck. It hasn't been actually for about the past 18 months. Even for the past 18 months, the models that we've had are phenomenal. And so, yes, Mythos exists and it's sitting in a vault somewhere, and Codex is becoming an agent, and you know, Claude shipped 4.7 a couple of days ago, and that was only 7 weeks after they shipped 4.6, which was the previous massive model. And so, like, I see a whole lot of organizations sitting there and they're saying, oh, well, we'll wait for our next training budget cycle, or the end of the financial year, or the end of the board reporting season, or whatever. But AI is not waiting for any of those things. It is arriving on its own schedule. Okay, and so it's not waiting for us, right? But what is waiting for you is your people. The people within organizations and companies within New Zealand are like desperately waiting to be shown not just how to use AI, but how to think about AI, how to have AI literacy, and how to understand that it doesn't just change the tools that they use, it completely changes the shape of their work and of the organization. Because better tools are just going to keep landing on people's desks. They will, like every 2 months for the next 10 years. The pace of this acceleration is not going to slow down. And you know, there'll be these generational jumps, like how we've gone in the last few months. We've gone from chatbots to agents. Those will keep happening, right? And so if people just keep approaching this technology as it's like a tool, it's Google, You ask something, you take it, and you move on. That's kind of the default that people approach AI with now. And if we keep using that, it's just like a more expensive search engine, and not only expensive in terms of the money that we pay for it, expensive in terms of the opportunity cost that is going to waste. Because used properly, these tools are like an intelligent colleague now, an incredibly intelligent colleague, and a massive multiplier of efficiency and productivity and innovation. So what what's my actual advice here? What does it mean to invest in people's AI literacy and their mindset? What are like some concrete things? Here's three of them for you. Every person in your organization who touches AI needs AI skills training and AI literacy training. They need to be wrapped together. That's real training about how to use the tools to their full capacity, yes, but just as importantly, the AI literacy training about what it means to treat AI like a capable colleague who thrives on good communication and lots of context and lots of detail. How do you approach these tools in a way that you delegate to them and you manage the work with them? And that's a huge shift. And it's the thing that Microsoft study that I talked about at the top, that just proves there's like 30 percentage points in performance, not from skills training, but from literacy training. So number two, whoever runs that training and whoever promotes AI deployment within the organization needs to have used AI at a high level daily for months themselves, right? You cannot hand this off to an IT training vendor. Even if you ask us to come in and deliver training and guidance and strategic guidance, it's still so important that the people who are infusing AI into the company, and most often that's your senior leaders and your middle management, the ones who are actually making sure that AI is being used by people on the tools, they're the people who will infuse that mindset and infuse the literacy into the actual work that's happening. And three, the third thing is just to say one-off training just collapses, right? AI skill and literacy training needs to be always on from now. That is just the reality of what AI needs to be for organizations. Because of the pace of change here, the training needs to be always on. Everyone needs to be able to access high quality training that's always there for them and evolves as the technology evolves. And those behaviors need reinforcing within the organization by senior leadership and middle management, that week after week, the tools are evolving, and so is our training, and so is our understanding of them. And that part doesn't just delegate easily. That has to be an organization commitment, right? So time for a blatant plug here. That is the way that at 10 past tomorrow, we design our AI Academy. Our AI Academy is there for organizations to enroll all of their people in. It's always on. The lessons and the courses are always there to be taken at your own pace. They are on every aspect that operational workers could need about AI skills and AI literacy, and we update it in real time as the technology updates. So how do we wrap this all up? First thing, AI capability will the capability of the tools will just keep arriving faster and faster than anyone's planning for, right? So we just have to assume that that's an ongoing constant. We can't be sitting here waiting for AI to slow down, but we also, in a way, you can treat the individual releases, the capability releases, as kind of noise, because the more important part is the quality of the work that the organization produces within your next 12 to 24 months. Whether you've got 20 people or 200 or 500 or 2,000 people, it's going to come down to do they approach AI and think of it as a software, as a tool, as a transactional interaction? Or do they do they have the AI literacy to understand how this technology works, that it is an intelligence, and that it seeps into anything. And the way to approach it is like a genius intelligence. And it needs direction, and it needs context, and it needs detail, and it needs managing, needs delegation. All of that actually is a decision that starts at the senior leadership layer of organizations. It needs senior leadership to be AI capable and to be AI literate. Um, and that's actually what happened with those 30 minutes of AI literacy training per person. That's how much it moved the people in that Microsoft study by 30 percentage points. So yes, Claude Mythos is coming. Whatever's coming within Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini will catch up. Copilot will get there eventually. In my opinion, all of that is less important than that number, that 30 percentage points number that the Microsoft survey showed as a result of good AI literacy training. That's where I recommend that we all go to work on first, the AI literacy capability within our people. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you next week.